My name is Scott McHenry, and this is a bit of me. Her name was Jessie. She looked at me and smiled. Old she was, older than the house she lived in. And she used a wooden stick when she walked. Not a cane with a graceful curved handle, but a stick, long as she was tall, with the bark still on. I walked past her little house to catch the bus again to come home. Walked past her mailbox, rusty and bent, flag long faded to pink. The box was on a post by the creek running in front of her porch. A short but rough walk over the rocky dirt path. So sometimes I would carry her mail over to her porch swing. She'd thank me like I was a grown-up performing a task. Gracious, soft-spoken, with a deep South accent she never lost. Come to our out-of-the-way holler 60 years ago. She'd met her sweet love, one of ours. He was building stone bridges in Tennessee. He cut and shaped great blocks of granite for the CCC. He had been going for years and years. Died before I was born, before Dad was born. But she stayed on their little farm, kind and sweet and southern. She'd hand me a cookie, warm and brown, and she'd smile, say, "Thank you." Never thanks, not that informal, but thank you, like I was somebody. The cookies were something angels ate, all ginger or cinnamon, crispy, sugary. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth, I rode that little bus, walked that dusty road, checked the rusty box, carried the meager mail. Meager, 'cause year after year she received less and less mail. She must have outlived everybody she knew, 'cause days went by, then a week, maybe two, and nobody wrote. I'd pry open the rusty door, check for mail, hoping to see at least a card. But except for Christmas and her birthday, lonely cards, the old battered box held more wasps than mail. I'd cross the creek, climb her steps and shrug, empty-handed. She must have known how bad I felt, 'cause she'd look at me and smile. Still gave me a cookie and that warm Tennessee thank you. But it wasn't as much fun as when I'd earned them. And so the time passed. She grew older. The bark wore thin and smooth on her stick. Dad said she was older than the hills, older than anyone knew. Outlived the post office, I reckoned, 'cause her mail plumb quit coming. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th and 9th, I rode and walked But after a while, I just waved. Just waved from the road, full of myself, not knowing about loneliness, not knowing she still baked, still waited for the bus to come, still put her cookies, warm and gingery, cinnamon and sugary, on the swing. 9th grade, just waving, not crossing the creek, not climbing her porch, just waving and walking on by, thinking a wave was enough. The mailbox rusted shut. Then the post fell down. I stood it up once, but it fell again, and I left it. I'd wave, not stop, and she'd wave back, and she smiled at me. Late summer. I hadn't been by, hadn't seen her in a while. But one warm afternoon, I happened past, saw her in the back seat of a big fancy car. A tall city fella was shutting the car door. He looked at me, but looked right through. Then he tossed her stick in the creek. Her white head showed bright over the windowsill, and he drove away. As they left, she looked at me, and she smiled. And that's that.